يترأسها الدكتور فيصل بن عبد العزيز التميمي، مدير المركز الوطني للوثائق والمحفوظات ورئيس اللجنة العلمية للمؤتمر، فليتفضل مشكورا للمنصة الرئيسية. وأيضا المحور لهذه الجلسة برنامج تدريب الوثائقي في الأرشيف الأمريكي وإدارة السجلات للمس ديبرا سديل وول، نائبة رئيسة الأرشيف الأمريكي، أيضا تتفضل للمنصة الرئيسية. ونترك إدارة الحوار للدكتور فيصل، وهنالك ترجمة أيضا عبر السماعات الموجودة أمامكم. وأيضا وقت النقاش بإمكانكم التساؤل بالعربي لمن يريد أن يتحدث بالعربي، ويتم ترجمتها للمتحدثة. بالتوفيق للجميع.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أرحب بكم أيها الأخوة والأخوات الحضور في الجلسة السادسة لمؤتمر الأرشيفات العربية أو دور الأرشيفات العربية في دعم مجتمع المعرفة بين التحديات الحالية والتطلعات المستقبلية. نستضيف اليوم نائبة رئيس الأرشيف الأمريكي أو الأرشيف الوطني وإدارة السجلات في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، السيدة ديبرا وول، والتي ستتحدث عن موضوع مهم وموضوع حيوي، ألا وهو موضوع التدريب الوثائقي للعاملين في مجال الأرشيف، وهي مجموعة من البرامج المهنية التي يقدمها الأرشيف الوطني الأمريكي للعاملين في مجال الوثائق في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Ms. Deborah Wall, the Deputy Archivist of the United States. She will talk about training programs and professional development at National Archive and Record Administration at the United States of America. The mic is yours, Deborah. Thank you. سيكون هناك ترجمة مباشرة إن شاء الله. البحث سيقدم أو الورقة ستقدم باللغة الإنجليزية، وستكون هناك ترجمة مباشرة على الميكروفون الموجود على الطاولات بإذن الله. وكذلك بالإضافة للأسئلة المطروحة من قبلكم سيكون هناك ترجمة للسيدة ديبرا وول.
How do I I need to know how to do this. How do I make it go? Oh. Thank you. Well, good morning. I am Deborah Wall, the Deputy Archivist of the United States, the National Archives, and it is such a pleasure and an honor to be here in Riyadh. I thank our hosts for their generosity and hospitality. I also bring greetings from my boss, David Ferriero, the Archivist of the United States, for a successful conference. Dr. Al-Tamimi has asked me to talk about training programs at the U.S. National Archives. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about the background of the National Archives. We were established in 1934 as the National Archives and Records Administration to preserve and provide access to the records of the governments of the United States. NARA manages the federal government's archives, administers a system of presidential libraries, operates museums, conducts education and public programs, provides oversight of government-wide records management, and provides temporary storage of other agencies' records on their behalf. Our mission is to provide access to the federal government records in our custody. Our records belong to the people. In addition to documenting our history as a nation, public access to government records strengthens democracy by allowing Americans to claim their rights of citizenship, to hold their government accountable, and to understand their history so that we can participate more effectively in our political process. This map shows where our facilities are across the United States. We serve researchers and visitors all over the country in 20 different facilities and 15 presidential libraries and museums. Last year, we had about 4 million visitors to all of our facilities, about 40 million online visitors, and about 90,000 in-person researchers to view original records. This map also shows the locations of our federal records centers. We have 18 federal records centers, and they provide important records management service and records storage for other federal agencies. We store both temporary and permanent records on behalf of these agencies as a fee-for-service basis. Many of these records do come to the National Archives for permanent retention, but the majority are destroyed after they're no longer in active use. Some idea about what we have. We have over 5 million cubic feet of permanently valuable records. That's about 15 billion pieces of paper, and also about 800 terabytes of electronic archival records. We also hold about 700,000 artifacts, primarily presidential, in our presidential libraries. Our records date mainly from the 18th century to the present. We have a new strategic plan at the National Archives, and it has 4 strategic goals: make access happen, connect with our customers, maximize NARA's value to the nation, and that's about creating an economic value to archives to show the relevance to economy and the business needs of a government, and build our future through our people. And that is what leads to my presentation today. It's our commitment, build our future through our people, is our commitment to provide all of our employees with learning and leadership opportunities necessary to successfully transition to a digital environment. We're dedicated to empowering our employees to engage in their work, to innovate to improve their work processes, and to become a next generation of leaders. We're looking to build an inclusive, empowering workplace culture, and what we want to do is connect the employee with the mission. That is what drives us as archivists, the importance of our mission, and if the employee feels that connection, they are more fulfilled and they are more productive and do a better job for our customers. There are many different professions at NARA. We have about 2,800 employees, 62% of whom are archivists, archive specialists, or archive technicians. So those are the archival careers. But like your archives, we employ conservators, preservation specialists, curators, education and outreach specialists, information technology specialists, human resources specialists, and so on. Each profession, called a job series, has different duties, levels of responsibilities, and qualifications for employment. So as I mentioned, we have 3 archival job series. Archivists have a demonstrated knowledge of archival principles, procedures, and techniques. The majority of our archivists have master's degrees or higher in fields including archives, library science, information science, records management, and of course, history. Archivists lead work in archival subject areas such as processing, accessioning, declassification, and reference. Archive specialist job duties are more varied across the agency. It's often limited to one area an employee has specialized in, such as digitization or declassification. And then finally, archives technician jobs, it's more of a para-professional position to support the work of archivists and specialists. Technicians do vital work in researcher assistance and customer service, as well as technical support of the archival functions. The majority of our technicians at the National Archives are employed in our Federal Records Center programs, where they're providing support to the agencies for whom we hold their records temporarily. It's a lot of pulling boxes, returning boxes. Now, increasingly, our specialists and technicians have advanced degrees in library science. When I started at the National Archives 27 years ago as an archivist, I started in a class of 20 archivists, and only one of us, not me, had a library or information science degree. Today, almost all of our archivists come to the National Archives with that degree. And we're finding that even our archives technicians, people are coming and they have library degrees, even though these are not archival physicians, they're more paraprofessional. So it's very important that we provide the training to all of our types of employees so that they understand the role that they play in our mission and that they have new experiences so that they gain skills and are engaged in their job. Okay, our Archivist Development Program, or the acronym is ADP. Archivists are automatically enrolled in this program when they're hired, and they're required to complete the program in order to progress through their career ladder promotions. The purpose of the ADP is to provide archivists across NARA consistent training and development in general archives and in the National Archives history and mission and purpose, as well as, of course, the 6 archival competencies. The program consists of 2 parts. The first part is comprised of information sessions about the various offices in NARA, briefings on records management, electronic records and preservation, and training in project management, customer service, and communication skills. It also includes safety training on how to climb ladders and how to lift heavy objects, because we know that is a part of every archivist's job. The second part of the program is centered on the 6 archival competencies and can be customized based on the employee's interests and the agency's work plans. Though archivists' day-to-day duties are often focused only on one competency, it's important that they're trained and understand the full range of the archival competencies so that they have full knowledge of the agency's work. Archivists complete rotations or details outside of their home office in order to experience everything the agency does. The archival competencies are outlined in our position descriptions. Multiple training and learning assignments are identified in each area, and archivists and their supervisors work together to select activities for completion. Archivists complete training or work assignments and then write reflective memos or other documentation about the work they completed. This is an example of what an assignment looks like in the program curriculum. Oh, I don't know how well you can see that, but in this case, we have 2 on-the-job training opportunities and associated learning assignments that have been identified to demonstrate the mastery of this competency, which is the accessioning, the taking in of archival records. Quantifiable metrics are included wherever possible to ensure standardization in the trainee's experience. By practicing the duty on the job and then producing written documentation, our program provides multiple levels and methods of learning and reflection. Our program is managed by a central coordinator who assists trainees and supervisors, coordinates live briefings, answers questions, and does a final review to ensure the archivist completed all of the program requirements. We also have a technician development program. Like the archivist program, technicians are automatically enrolled in a mandatory program when they're hired. The goals are similar, but with an emphasis on the databases and tracking systems used by NARA and a greater focus on direct customer service, as those are the key aspects of a technician's job duties. The competencies targeted through this program are reference, arrangement, preservation, holdings, maintenance, and reformatting, description, accessioning and disposal, and customer service. This program also has a coordinator who assists the technicians and the supervisors and arranges all of the assignments and rotations. We're currently developing a program for our specialists, but because of the varied nature and specialized nature of those positions, we're finding that to be more difficult, but we are working on that. Okay, so creating a developmental training program can be a lengthy process, but thorough planning will provide the best chance for success. Each of our programs took about 18 months from conception through implementation. Here are some of the best practices that we have learned. I'm sure many of you have learned the same in your own development programs. Identify your audience and their training needs. consult with stakeholders, subject matter experts, training and development specialists. For our programs, we had different working groups of management level staff who consulted with working groups of lower level staff. The important thing is to hear from as many people as possible. Apply adult learning techniques and layers of learning. Bloom's taxonomy, a way of looking at education for adults. Oh, what happened? Bloom's taxonomy talks about layers of learning. Remembering or understanding facts isn't enough. You have to apply them in practice, and that is how you internalize and learn and then develop and grow on those skills. Create as much written documentation as possible. That will help you identify gaps and confusing aspects of your program. Create unique guides and job aids. Include tables, diagrams. Do as much as you can to help the participants, both the people who lead it and the students in the program. Train supervisors and managers first. Only after they are trained can you start to train the employees. It's very important that everyone understands the program and its goals. And finally, and probably most importantly, don't forget to evaluate the success of the program by seeing if the aims were achieved and calculating the return on the investment, because a training program can be quite an investment. Okay. We have a major change coming at the U.S. National Archives that is going to require a significant investment in training. In our new strategic plan, we say that by the end of 2022, we are no longer taking paper records. All of the records, whether they were born electronic or whether they are in paper form, must come to us in electronic form. This is a huge change for an agency that has primarily worked with paper for the past 80 years. While we certainly do have a lot of electronic records and experience, the majority of our employees are working with paper records. After 2022, agencies must give us the records in electronic form and with proper metadata. We need to be sure our employees are ready to deal with this fully electronic environment, and we also need to be prepared to support other agencies with the new tools and guidance and expertise. We realize what a challenge this is, and we've identified strategies to make sure that we can achieve the proper skill levels so that we can support the U.S. government in really becoming a fully digital government. Of course, we will identify the competencies and requirements, transform our training programs, expand it, and invest significant time and energy, and finally develop specific job development programs to build professional competencies. I should mention, this goal will also require records managers in federal agencies to learn new skills. These are not our employees, but the employees of federal agencies. It's not me. I don't know who's doing it. Is that me? Okay. We have long trained records managers from other federal agencies throughout the government, and in the past have offered a certification program. We are in the process of updating that training program. We're shifting from instructor-led formal instruction, meaning people in a classroom. We're shifting to an online, free training to remove barriers for participation. Our curriculum areas remain the same: records creation, capture, receipt, disposition, but we will increase dramatically our emphasis on electronic records management, digitization, metadata, shared drives, file naming convention, records management requirements for IT applications, records management in the cloud, email management, decommissioning a system, all the things that the modern records manager needs to know. So we are working on this new curriculum now, and because it will be free and online, all of you may benefit, you may choose to look at it and benefit from it as well, and hopefully find it helpful. I'm scared to press a button. Okay. Not all of the training we do at the National Archives is done in-house. We frequently partner with or send our staff for training at other professional organizations. This is an example of some of the places, some of our sources of training: Society of American Archivists, International Council on Archives, and other places. This is useful when there's a specialized training, especially in audiovisual media. Outside training also helps us keep up to date on archival trends and provides new ideas and connects us more to the archival community. So I hope you found this helpful. I'm happy to answer any questions, and shukran. Shukran? Did I say that right? Okay. Thank you very much.
كل الشكر والتقدير للسيدة ديبرا وول على ما قدمته اليوم، وهو حقيقة جزء جدا مهم، وهو عملية التطوير المهني للعاملين في مجال الوثائق والمحفوظات على رأس العمل. Thank you, Deborah, for your presentation. Is it okay? Is it working? الآن نفتح المجال للأخوة والأخوات الحضور الكرام بتقديم الأسئلة والملاحظات. تفضل أستاذ جامع. Is it working? قبل الأخوة والأخوات المنظمين، أتوقع أن المايك الترجمة لا تعمل. Okay.
No.
اتفضل.
شكرا جزيلا على هذا العرض القيم. سؤالي فقط متعلق بأفق 2020، حيث ذكرت السيدة ديبورا أن ناشونال أركايفز لن تتوصل إلا بالصيغة الإلكترونية. هل هذا يعني أن جميع الإدارات والمؤسسات في الولايات المتحدة التي تحيل عليها أرشيفاتها هل وصلت إلى درجة صفر ورق؟ وإذا كان الجواب لا، فما مصير الأوراق التي تنتجها؟ هل يتم إتلافها علماً بأن الأرشيف الإلكتروني معرض كثيراً للتزوير، فيكفي استعمال أبليكيشن فوتوشوب مثلاً لكي نتوصل بأمور قد تكون منافية للأصل؟ لذا ما هي وسائل التحقق من مصداقية الوثيقة عندما تتحول من الورقي إلى الإلكتروني؟ وشكراً.
أي سؤال آخر أو مداخلة من قبل الأخوة الحضور؟ تفضل دكتور.
You said that most of your employees now with the degree of library and information science, but do you have plan to be more specific and have like archivists, people who specialize in archiving instead of library and information science? Did you get it?
ممكن تعيد له السؤال دكتور؟
As you said that most of your employees now with the degree of library and information sciences, but do you have a plan to be more specific and have people specialized in archiving instead of library? And another question, one more question. You said by 2020, all of your archiving will come with the agency in electronic format with metadata. Are your employees also trained to have to create metadata in-house instead of doing that by the agencies?
كنت تعيد له السؤال يا دكتور بصوت أعلى شوي.
As you said, by 2020, all of the records will come in online format, right? An electronic format with metadata that will be created by the agencies. Do you have plan to let your employee create their own metadata in-house in the National Archiving?
Okay. سؤال آخر.
Thank you.
شكرا. سؤال بس، هل الناشونال اركايف له دور استشاري او عنده علاقه بالمؤسسات والكليات المتخصصه في تدريس تخصص الوثائق والمحفوظات لمؤامه التكوين والتدريس لسوق العمل؟ شكرا.
سؤال أخير عند الدكتور، بس ننظر لضيق الوقت وانعقاد الجلسة السابعة بعد قليل. نعتذر حقيقة من تفضل.
Thanks, Doctor, for the.
الصوت يا دكتور لو سمحت.
Thank you for the informative talk. My question is, do you have any kind of a procedure to perceive that the format of the electronic files that you're going to receive? We know that, for example, if you ask anybody in here that I have a Word document for 95, most of the people, they won't have the application to run that format. Do you plan to have any kind of system that would run like most of the files? And this is going to be, evolving day after day. We don't know what are the extension going to be like 5, 10 years from now. Thank you.
Okay. Those are difficult questions and important questions. I hope I didn't misspeak. Our goal is in 2022, not 2020. It's only 2 years, but it's still it's very soon. So the question was, is the federal government already in a fully digital environment? And if not, how do we become, what do you do with the paper records that are still being created, correct? The question? And how do you also ensure the authenticity of electronic records, which is a very big concern. So our goal is very controversial, not so much because people aren't creating records electronically, but because federal agencies are concerned about the cost. We're asking them to change their processes in relation with their records. We're asking them to get electronic records management systems, not just to print papers and put them in a box. We have qualified our statements by saying only electronic records to the extent possible, giving a little bit of room. But we are serious about this, and the administration is also serious about this. We expect there to be a government-wide regulation saying this much must happen. We expect agencies to digitize any paper copies that they have, and then they will be allowed to destroy the originals if they've met certain criteria. And as an archivist, that is a very complicated issue. Interestingly, I'm okay if the agency has properly done the work and destroys it. It is much harder to imagine the National Archives digitizing material and then destroying it. As an archivist, that is very hard to comprehend, but I know that will probably be the case one day. We have 44 buildings, and that and our employees takes up 80% of our budget, although electronic records systems are really more expensive, I believe. So one part of that question was, how do you prevent fraud, counterfeit? How do you ensure the safety, the accuracy of the records? And that is a question that I worry about. We have several ways. One is that we have a system, the Electronic Records Archives system, that we put the electronic records in, we run all of the checks for authenticity, validation, verification, and then those are are stored in the cloud, so it's distributed. We are also undertaking a digital preservation program with the desire to become a trusted digital repository and all of the requirements associated with that. So that is, it's underway and it's a major investment. Did I answer that question? Okay. So the second question, if I understand correctly, was do we plan to offer more specific training in metadata as the agencies give us their electronic records? And as you probably know, the metadata creation is more expensive and more difficult than actually creating a digital copy of a record. And people have always underestimated metadata. And as you also, I'm sure, know, good metadata is essential to being able to find the records. Without that metadata, it's just a giant blah of materials. So we are working right now to establish regulations for the metadata we want agencies to create, and it is very controversial, and there's a little bit of resistance and argument because there's a cost with every single piece of metadata. So we're trying to be reasonable, but we're also trying to show them the business case of having this good metadata, that it helps them. But as I'm sure won't surprise you, budgets are tight and people are looking at the problem right in front of them. I'm sure that's an international, that's not new. I hope I answered that question. So another question was, do we play an advisory role for other organizations in terms of training? No, we do not. We get our money from the federal government, and it's very clear what our appropriations, our budget is supposed to be used for, and it's supposed to be used for training our employees and other government agencies, and they get sometimes they get a little strict if we provide that sort of training or use our resources for not for federal government projects. However, one of the reasons we're providing this training or changing our records management model is so that it can be available to all people who are interested, free and online. We know from our state governments, that's not part of the federal. We know they would like our training, state and local governments, industries. Many of you have expressed interest. So we hope that what we're creating can be useful and be a contribution to to go along with the training that you create in other countries. I think I answered the question about the flow of digital preservation in the earlier answer. So.
كل الشكر والتقدير للسيدة ديبرا وول نائبة رئيس الأرشيف الأمريكي على إلقاء الضوء على نقطة حيوية ومهمة جدا تتعلق بالتطوير المهني للعاملين في مجال الوثائق والأرشيف. ونريد أن نذكركم أيها الأخوة والأخوات بأن السيدة ديبرا وول لديها يوم حافل اليوم إن شاء الله. سوف يكون لديها ورشة عمل في تمام الساعة 1 في القاعة المستديرة التي تقع على يسار القاعة الحالية التي نعمل بها الآن. سوف تتحدث السيدة عن تصنيف الوثائق المعمول به في الأرشيف الوطني الأرشيف الوطني الأمريكي وإدارة السجلات، وتلقي الضوء على نقطة مهنية مهمة جدا تشغل بال جميع العاملين في مجال الأرشيف. Thank you, Deborah, for coming to Riyadh today, and we are happy to have you here, and we would like to invite you again to be in Riyadh. I believe this is not your first and last visit.
It's my first.
We expecting to have you soon إن شاء الله. شكرا جزيلا أيها الأخوة والأخوات.
شكرا لرئيس الجلسة الدكتور فيصل التميمي. أيضا شكرا thanks to Ms. Deborah Wall.